for Kids is a Chicago charity that provides free year-round music education to kids living under the poverty level. And today is the first of a series of interviews with concert poster artists. We're very lucky to have Clay Hayes from gigposters.com hosting the event, and Jay Ryan, one of my personal favorite poster artists from right here in Chicago, is the first person that we're interviewing. I am going to pass it over to our host, Clay Hayes from Gig Posters.
Welcome everyone. Today we're interviewing Jay Ryan, based out of Chicago, Illinois. He's runs his design studio, The Bird Machine, and we have a bunch of questions for him today, as well as hopefully questions from the audience. Let's start off with maybe you can tell us how long you've been working as a poster designer.
I started making posters at the end of '95. Was my first poster job. Was end of '95, just about a year and a half after I got out of school, with a degree in painting. And the first posters I designed were printed by Steve Walters at Screwball Press, and here in Chicago. And after Steve and Bob Hartzell printed first maybe 4, 5, 6 prints that I designed, then I came in and learned to do the printing myself, and worked there at Screwball for about 3 years until starting my own shop in '99.
Maybe you can tell us about how long it takes you to create a poster from the time that you get hired to do a job to the time that it's ready and printed. How long each component of that process takes, I guess.
Wow. A really fast poster will go in about 24 hours between
oh, wow.
sitting down to do the drawing at the kitchen table after dinner, and then getting up the next morning and going and making films and hand cutting the films, and then printing all day. Usually about 24 hours for a very fast one. Most posters really end up taking 3 or 4 days. We just finished a crazy 25 color print. There was a collaboration with Aaron Horkey that was documented on Gig Posters. That took 12 straight days of printing and designing.
Wow. From Ryan Martin, who are some of your favorite current gig poster artists?
Ooh. Wow. Well, let's see. A lot of the old staples, the old guys, people like Jeff Kleinsmith and Jesse Ledoux, and Aaron Horkey and the whole burlesque team, and Aesthetic Apparatus and Decoder Ring, and a million people that I'm just not thinking of right now. I'm going to kick myself for. But as far as the new and kind of intriguing young people coming into this right now, like Land from Minneapolis. It sort of makes me punch myself in the face every time I see one of their prints because they're really good. John Vogel and his Bungaloo from St. Louis, and Kevin Tong is really doing some great work, except he's sort of a jerk, but his work is good. Every time I go to a flat stock poster convention, I learn something new from somebody whose work I've never seen before.
Tell us this, Jay. What suggestions would you have for any new or aspiring poster artists?
You should consider a career in finance or real estate, I think. Or perhaps oil production. I think that advice I would give would be to you have to, when there is no work, you make work. You have to get up early and work and have fun with what you're doing. And do you have any suggestions for me, Clay? Because
I don't know. I'd say true to your heart and don't do it for the money, I guess. I don't know. What's the biggest disaster you ever had working on a project?
The first one that comes to mind is the time that I misspelled the record's name and sent the posters off, which turned out really nicely. Sent the posters off to the record label with the record title, the compilation record title, missing a whole syllable in the middle. That was no fun. There've been other times like I sent the print to the client and they didn't like it and they just threw them out and didn't pay me.
When and how did you realize that doing gig posters was something you had an interest in?
It was something that I sort of stumbled into as I started doing it, because I was doing a bunch of freelance illustration at that time, when I was about a year out of school, and I was doing all sorts of random jobs that were around poster making, playing in a band, working on like music video shoots and drawing storyboards for music videos, and then I became aware first, really repeatedly, of seeing Derek Hess's work, and really just was very attracted to Derek Hess's work, and from there became aware of Art Chantry, and saw Coop and Kozik's work, and while I certainly respected those, I was really drawn to Hess's work, and so the missing piece was being able to actually do that screen printing process, and so when I stumbled into Screwball Press, that really kind of tied it all together for me.
Love the latest Hum poster, Jay. Do you shoot film from pencils, or do you ink your work too?
Hi, Rob. Rob's an old school Screwball Press guy from back in the day. Let's see. No. Generally, my process is that I will start with a pencil drawing that's usually quarter scale of the finished drawing, or of the finished poster. Meaning, if the finished poster is going to be 18 by 24, I'll usually start with a pencil drawing that's about 9 by 12. The pencil drawing gets photocopied onto overhead transparencies, and that's as close as that comes to a computer for this process, for my process. I used to ink things when I was concerned about making them nice and neat. At this point, I will just Xerox the pencil drawings and then physically work into the, you're not seeing my hand gestures here, physically work into the films with an X-Acto knife to clean them up a little bit. So that sort of takes place of inking.
That's from Inside Rock Poster. Will you ever stop using Rubylith?
Do you think that they're pleading with me to, please, will you ever stop? I plan on not changing until Ulano stops making Rubylith, at which point I will either go digital or, I don't know, figure something else out. I have no plans at this point to stop using Rubylith, although I will say that there seems to be some sort of technology change going on, and I'm having a harder and harder time getting photocopiers to give me dark enough films that I can use my normal photocopy process to make key plate films, and that's only interesting to the screen printers on here.
Probably be all we do for today.
Okay.
Let's get Kyle back on here and maybe talk a little about Rock for Kids.
I actually wanted to ask you a question about that, Jay. You've done some designs for Rock for Kids in the past, and donated posters to us as well. So why is it important to you to support music education in Chicago?
Well, it's good that somebody's addressing these things, and if I'm able to help out by a little bit in this way, it's great. It's you've got quite an operation there, and you're really good at maintaining contact between your organization and musicians, and sort of tying tying poster makers and musicians together, and you know, I like being involved.